In today's YouTube video, I'm going to show you guys how to get set up with any USB microphone to get it sounding professional on stream or in YouTube videos. We are going to do this with three methods. First of all, microphone placement. Where do you put that bad boy on your desk? 2, microphone etiquette. How do you speak when you're talking into the capsule? And last but certainly not least, in fact, this might be the biggest one. That's what she said, never. Audio effects in the form of VST plugins. Not the ones that come with Streamlabs, we're going to use our own. And to prove to you guys and gals that this will indeed work with any USB microphone on the market, our test subject or candidate is this bad boy here. This gorgeous piece of tech is the Amazon Basics condenser mic, which I have seen as cheap as $12 in its refurbished or used condition. Will it sound as good as a $2,000 mic connected to a $500 mixer? Actually, it'll be a lot closer than you guys think due to background noise and compression that is present on live streams. That is incredibly close on my face. So first of all, microphone placement. Where do you set that bad boy? How far should it be from your mouth? Should it be hanging from the roof, dangling above you? Should it be coming from the nether regions? Should it be off to the side? Every single microphone you buy, whether it's USB or XLR, whether it's condenser or dynamic, will come with some kind of a stand, a unipod, a tripod, a bipod. The first step is to rotate in a counterclockwise or lefty-loosey method to the left and go ahead and place the default stock bipod or tripod in the trash. Actually, you might want to set it aside in case you sell this microphone later to upgrade to an XLR mic. You're going to need to get a boom arm. Now, I understand you might be on a budget considering you're trying to make a USB microphone sound good. You do not need an expensive boom arm like a Rode PSA-1, a Gator Frameworks, or a Blue Compass. Those are all over $100 a pop. Linked in the description below, I will have a $12 scissor boom arm on Amazon. It's ugly, a little bit hard to adjust, might not hold position too great, but it will work and it will get the microphone closer to your mouth. The reasons why you do not want to use a stand on your desk is a couple of reasons. First of all, if you bump your desk at all, you're going to get a very loud booming sound that is going to be detrimental to headphone users. Something like a boom arm will reduce the vibration of you hitting your desk greatly. A little bro tip or pro tip that I'm actually not following myself but will be in the near future is you do not want to attach your boom arm to the desk that you are streaming on, because when you bump your elbow or you're even typing on your keyboard, that vibration is picked up. You want to have a side table or end table next to your streaming desk that you can clamp on your boom arm to. The next reason you do not want to use a desk mounted tripod is generally it's going to be further away from your mouth. The microphone will be about 8 to 12 inches away from you as opposed to around 3 inches from your mouth, which is ideal for getting that bass and that radio-esque presence. The next reason would be on a tripod, it is taking up real estate or space on your desk, space that you probably need for your mouse and keyboard if you're playing games. And the final reason, and this is a big one, ladies, if it's on your desk, it is actually in between your keyboard, which you're clicking on, or maybe you're a controller player, in which case it's right in front of your controller, even though the receiver or capsule is in the front of the microphone, so it is getting some noise rejection from the back, it is still in between your keyboard and your voice. As we're on a boom arm, it is very far away from other sources of noise. Get a boom arm. And another thing to keep in mind, even if you do invest in a premium boom arm, that's going to transfer over to your next microphone or microphones. As you upgrade your setup, you can keep that boom arm. The next thing we're going to cover is additional accessories for your microphone and how you really don't need them as long as you are practicing proper microphone etiquette, which up until this point, I really haven't been. You've probably been noticing a lot of pops on my P's, or plosives as they call. Peter Piper pickled a pepper. I apologize, headphone users. Now you can get something like a pop filter, this little foam sleeve that will slide over your microphone. I personally do not like the large circular or rectangular pop filters that go in front of your microphone. It's just an additional piece on your boom arm that's taking up a good portion of your peripheral vision, which you don't want if you're playing games. But a little slip-on pop filter like this, which by the way is $10 just for this little piece of foam, can do wonders for your plosives. Peter Piper pickled his pepper on stream and got booted from Twitch. So as you can see, it cuts out some of the plosives or the P's, however, not all of them. So proper microphone etiquette, and this is something that I still struggle with myself to this day, is to pull back on your P's a little bit. Peter Piper pickled his pepper. Peter Piper pickled his pepper. See, a little bit softer. Same thing with the harsh S's. Now you can get something called a de-esser. There are software and hardware de-essers. And what that does is, sure enough, the S's. I'm going to share my screen here for just a moment. while I show you guys the interface of the Go XLR mixer. Awesome, so this is the software program that comes with the TC Helicon Go XLR, which is a $450 mixer. Now coming over here, de-esser. This does have a built-in hardware de-esser. The Go XLR Mini, which is substantially cheaper and smaller, does not come with a de-esser because it actually does require bus power. Now I'm gonna say a little phrase here about our friend Sandy and what she does down by the seashore. Don't worry, it's nothing weird, guys. So this is with the de-esser at 0. Sandy sells seashells down there by the seashore. Now I'm gonna crank it up. Sandy sells seashells down there by the seashore. Sandy sells seashells down there by the seashore. Sandy sells seashells down there by the seashore. I leave mine between 40 and 50. It gives a natural sound in my voice while still cutting out some of those harsh S's. So to recap or summarize on accessories, pop filters like this or like this, you really don't need them. You can get yourself a little foam slip-on like this, or you can just practice proper microphone etiquette. So what about a shock mount? Wow, that's a $50 piece of plastic with rubber bands running through it. Don't need that either, considering if you are mounting to a boom arm that is attached to a separate desk that is not what you're streaming on, so you don't have to worry about bumping it, you don't really need a shock mount, period. Again, take up a huge amount of your peripheral vision. Yes, it looks kind of cool and professional on stream, so that's something to keep in mind if you want people to be like, wow, what a professional studio microphone setup you have. Now we got the Amazon Basics condenser microphone hooked up via its mini USB, not micro USB, not USB-C, mini USB. And this is the out-of-the-box default sound. Not great. Speaking of not great, I noticed that my blinds were cascading a very awkward natural light effect on my wall back there, so good thing I wasn't doing a tutorial about how to make your video look quality. That video is coming soon as well. Bear with me, we're going to make this microphone sound a whole heck of a lot better, but first of all, whenever you plug in a new USB microphone, what you're going to do is come down here to the bottom right click and open sound settings, and make sure that you have the new microphone selected as your input device. Then you're going to go down here to device properties. As you can see, it's at 50. When I plugged it in, it was at 85 and it was clipping. How you are going to test this, you are going to click on start test and begin speaking at your normal voice that you would get on stream, maybe a little bit loud. So not yelling, not raging, but a little bit excited. Then hit stop test. And it is now saying that the highest value they saw was 34%, so it was very far away from clipping. You want to make sure that you're at about 90% or below to ensure that you are not going to be clipping on stream. If you want to rename the microphone, you can do that as well. So when you plug it in at future times, you will get a little nickname for it and know, yep, that's the microphone that I like to have. Now in your broadcasting software, me personally, I use Slobs or Streamlabs OBS. You might be using traditional OBS or Open Broadcaster software. Maybe you use XSplit Broadcaster. Maybe you use Twitch Studio. But for Streamlabs and OBS, what you're going to do is click on this little cog icon down here and you are going to go to audio. And for mic/auxiliary device, you are going to get this little drop down window and you are going to select the microphone that you have plugged in. In this case, it is Amazon Basics Desktop Mini Microphone. Now, as a general rule of thumb, you want your voice to be right here in the yellow. In the green is generally too quiet and you will have to boost up with makeup gain, and red is not good. That means that you're clipping and blowing out the eardrums of your viewers. But there are a couple of things that we can do to get this microphone sounding better right out of the box with no additional software. Clicking on this cog icon that is next to my microphone, you will see filters. Now, if you click on this, Streamlabs OBS does have some built-in filters. If you click this plus icon over here, you will see that we have some stock plugins over here. We have gain, noise suppression. The three that you really want on any USB microphone to make them sound so sweet is going to be a compressor, and that is going to make your quiet sounds boost it up to a reasonable volume, and then when you get loud, maybe you're yelling because you're excited or raging, it's going to bring those down to one steady, consistent volume, which is absolutely critical for your viewers. The next one would be a noise gate, and this is going to cut out background sounds such as your HVAC system, your ceiling fan, the fans from your PC. It's not going to completely eliminate clicks from your keyboard. It is pretty much expected when you're watching somebody stream, if they're on a mechanical keyboard, especially with tactile switches, you're going to get a little bit of clicking and whatnot. Controllers generally make a little bit less noise. However, a lot of these paddle controllers that have tactile paddles on the back, they're going to click quite a bit too. But noise gate will help to cut out a bunch of background noise. And the next one would be EQ, or an equalizer, which is going to let you manipulate the frequency ranges of your voice to boost up the bass or the low end just a little bit to give you that radio-esque presence, cut down the mids, which are generally a little bit hollow and tinny and really don't add any sustenance to your voice, and then boost up a little bit in the treble, in the highs, to give you a little bit more peak brightness. Now, the default plugins for OBS or Streamlabs OBS are okay, but as you see, they don't have an equalizer, they do have a compressor and a noise gate, but these aren't fantastic, and the biggest con or downside to these is you can't actually see them working in real time to make adjustments. That is why we're going to use what is called Reaper plugins. It is a free software program. Let's throw this back up to my top monitor and let's open a browser. You're going to search for Reaper plugins. The first result you're going to get is Reaper.fm. You are going to download the 64-bit package if you are on 64-bit Windows, which I'm assuming you are. Just save this to the desktop. I already have this installed, but it'll create a small install folder right here. The file is 3.8 megabytes, so very small, will install in a matter of seconds. The important thing here is to not change the title or the destination folder of where it is installing these VST voice effects, because Streamlabs and OBS are going to look in the default Windows location for VST plugins. So do not rename it, just save it to the default. We're going to go ahead and set up each one of these 3 plugins, and I'm going to show you guys how to tweak the settings to make them sound perfect. Clicking on the cog icon again and going back to filters, we're going to hit the plus icon. Now you're going to come all the way down here to VST2X plugin. This is going to let you manually select your own plugin. And for this one, the first one we are going to install is a noise gate. Now keep in mind, the order that you do have these effects does matter. So if you have equalizer on and then compressor and then noise gate, whichever one is the highest, whichever one is on the top of the list, that is going to be the last plugin or effect that is applied, which I'll show you guys how that does matter in just a minute here. But the first one we're going to install is going to be a noise gate. And from this dropdown, we are going to select, these are all of our Reaper plugins that we just installed. They all have clever names like Recomp for compressor and Regate for its noise gate. We're going to select Regate. You're going to hit Open Plugin Interface. It's going to pop open a Windows browser. And as you can see here, when I go radio silence and I'm not speaking, you're still seeing that the microphone is picking up background noise in my room. No more background noise. But you don't want to have this too high to where when you're speaking quietly, it cuts your voice out. I'll demonstrate that right now. I'm talking kind of quietly and it's cutting out my voice. So just get a visual representation of where your noise level is in your room when you are not saying anything, and then hike this up a couple of decibels above that. Now you can right click and hit close for this window, but I recommend just clicking close plugin interface and it will close it as well. Now that we have the noise gate cutting out any background sounds, we're going to go ahead and hit plus again, and we're going to add ourselves an equalizer. You're going to select VST plugin once again, you're going to name this EQ, and you are going to select ReQ from the drop down here, then open plugin interface. Now as you can see in real time, there are the actual audio waves of my voice, which is what I really like about Reaper plugins, is that you can see in real time. You don't get that with the out of the box OEM or stock plugins from OBS or Streamlabs OBS. So what we're going to do is click on each one of these individually, and by default they are low shelf and high shelf. Go ahead and make all of them band, and this is going to give you more control over each frequency range. We're going to go ahead and boost up the bass a little bit, cut out the mids, which are generally rather hollow or tinny, and then we're going to boost up the highs or the treble to give us a little bit more clarity and vocal presence. Probably cut this down just a little bit, Mo. Now I'm liking that. I think that sounds pretty good, but you have to keep in mind that every voice is different. You might have a deep booming voice, as where I do not, or maybe you sound like a 12-year-old because you indeed are a 12-year-old streamer. So something to keep in mind here. We all have different voices. Go ahead and close this. Now we're going to add a compressor, which is by far the most complicated or difficult, especially if you are new. So we're just going to name this comp or compressor. We're going to select Recomp and open the interface. What this is going to do is boost up the quiet sounds. Maybe you're whispering in Escape from Tarkov, listening for footsteps. And then also, we're gamers. Maybe you rage a little bit, or you're excited because something crazy just happened, and you exclaim loudly. You want that to be brought down as well. So the first thing you want to do with the equalizer is set your ratio. Now, a 4:1 ratio is pretty standard when it comes to vocal compressors. A 3:1 is also rather common, but a 4:1 is kind of the golden standard. So you're just going to type in 4 right here and hit enter. Then you're going to pull this slider down to the average volume that you get on stream. So not the loudest possible that you can get when you're yelling or something, but just your average voice. And as you can see, when I'm talking loudly, it is cutting down my voice, -6 decibels, -1.5 decibels. So it's cutting that down. Now, when I'm talking quietly though, it might cut out a little bit of my voice as well. And that is when you can mess around with makeup gain. You can either do that manually with this wet slider right here, or what I recommend doing, as it is very, very easy and does work relatively good, is just to tick this auto makeup gain right here. But then when I get loud, as you see, I'm just barely in the red there, not really clipping or peaking, but I am in the red a little bit there, but it's cutting down, as you can see, a substantial amount of decibels from my voice. But then when I'm talking rather quietly, thanks to this auto makeup, it's boosting up the quiet sound. Now, if you want to fine tune this a little bit further, you can mess with these two bars right here, which is attack and release. Attack, if you increase this, it is increasing the time in milliseconds that it takes for this effect to actually work on your voice. So if you slow it down a little bit, it might not be as aggressive if it's cutting out too much of your voice. Release is how long it'll linger with the effect on before resetting and going back into a standby mode. But for me, this right here, 300 attack, 100 millisecond release, 4:1 ratio, with this bar right here in my average speaking volume and auto makeup gain on, is what I like. And you do want these stacked in order. You want noise gate cutting out only the background sounds from your room, then the equalizer, and then the compressor. And just to confirm that these are still on my voice, if I click on the cog icon, you will see filters, parentheses, 3 of them. Click on them. Yep, they're still right there. Just to make sure we still have our settings, we'll open up. Yep, still got our settings there. Yep, still got our equalizer as well. Now what I recommend you guys doing is recording a short YouTube video, maybe 30 seconds or so. Don't worry, this is never going to go public or anything like that. Just say something, how now brown cow, unique New York, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog, something like that that's hitting multiple frequency ranges in your voice and whatnot. Then upload it to YouTube and set it as private. Now you are going to be able to view it from your cell phone, from your computer, on your smart TV or your console that has the YouTube application installed. You still will be able to view your private videos in your library as well. And I would recommend listening back to that clip on your cell phone with the cell phone speakers, on your TV with the built-in speakers and your sound bar, and then on your desktop with maybe some desktop speakers, just to make sure that everything sounds up to par for all of these devices that listeners might potentially be watching your stream or YouTube videos on. Keep in mind that a good percentage, the majority of people that watch streams, it's just going to be on their cell phone. And a lot of times people aren't even actually watching your stream. They just have you pulled up and they're listening. Maybe they're doing the dishes or their homework or something. But this right here is with a $20 microphone. 3 vocal plugins on a boom arm. We'll simulate that this is a cheaper boom arm, but any boom arm. And one little note about that, you might need to get an adapter because different microphones have different thread sizes for boom arms. The standard is kind of a 3/8 of an inch. However, there are 1/2 inch and there are even larger, like 3/4 inch mounts as well. Granted, some microphones and some boom arms do include a little threaded adapter, but in case you get a combination that does not have what you need, I will have a link to a little pack, a little kit that has all the boom arm adapters that you could ever possibly need. And the final 2 tips that I am going to give to you prospective YouTubers and streamers out there is 1, when you are live streaming, there is a lot of compression that happens on your voice to Twitch or Facebook Gaming or YouTube Live. You have a bit rate. So all of your video and audio sources are getting funneled into one bit rate. So you have to keep in mind, there's no need to have a $2,000 XLR microphone because it's not going to make that big of a difference. And the second thing is, there's going to be other background noise on your stream. You're going to have your gameplay sound. You're going to have your buddies talking in Discord. And this is very important as well. This is something I didn't start implementing until about a year ago or so. If you're making YouTube videos, tutorials and whatnot, streaming, and maybe you're in the game lobby where it's dead quiet and whatnot, put a little bit of background music in there. Find some copyright-free music and place that in there in the background. Not very loud, you do not want to overpowering your voice, but maybe on about 15 to 20% volume of how loud it can get to where it's just adding ambiance in the background. So in those moments where you're staring at your screen because you're focusing on your gameplay, and there's what's called dead air, it's a term from the radio world that does exist in the streamer world as well. When you're not commentating or being entertaining or actually engaging your chat, there's still not dead silence. You still have some music in there because nothing is worse than jumping into somebody's stream and it is dead silent. It is very awkward for the viewer and it's just awkward for everyone involved. And most of the time they will just literally leave your stream. They won't even stick around because it makes them feel awkward. So in conclusion, Use a boom arm to get the microphone closer to your mouth and away from vibration sources like you bumping the desk and the clicks of your keyboard. You do not need accessories like pop filters and shock mounts if you are practicing proper microphone etiquette. And last but certainly not least, using VST or vocal plugins tastefully to make your voice sound a little bit more radio-esque or a little bit more distinct is always a good thing. Have a little bit of background noise for ambiance, so when you're not speaking or commentating your gameplay, it's still entertaining. And keep in mind that your USB microphone is going to sound almost as good as your buddy's $1,000 setup if you are doing live streaming because of the compression and all the background noise like your gameplay and Discord chat. If this video was beneficial for you, it helped you to get set up, making your USB microphone sound oh so sweet, liking the video will help it to get seen by more people, so this tutorial will reach and assist them as well, which in turn helps me grow this YouTube channel, which I greatly appreciate. Subscribe for more content like this. I cover gaming news in the community and industry, as well as tutorials helping you get set up streaming and YouTubing. And I will see you tomorrow because I upload daily as well as going live right here on this YouTube channel, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, where you can ask me questions and we can just hang out and play some games. Have a good day.